Well, hello everyone and welcome. My name is Cooper Naylor, and what we are doing here today, this is the first interview as part of our America 250 special that is releasing on July 4th. So, without a doubt, this is Tyler Thompson. He is the County Extension Director for Lauderdale County 4-H in Alabama. So, Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Cooper?
I'm pretty good. So, the first question, I want to begin by asking you about your upbringing. What was it like for you to grow up, not only not just in Alabama, but here in the United States of America?
Uh, what was it like? Well, I don't know anything different. That's all. I don't know how to compare it to anything else because you have an upbringing, but I do know that it was definitely a privilege to be able to be able to do what you want to do, right? We have a lot of freedoms, and so there's opportunities to do what you to be what you want to be, do what you want to do. So I think that idea of freedom is always very important, and something that I think we probably take for granted. There was always the knowledge you can travel across the United States if you want to. Um, live close to the state line, and it's easy to go across to over to Tennessee or Mississippi, and 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 that's something that's probably unique to be in the United States. Um, but yeah, anything more specific that you were thinking, or?
No, I mean, that's a great answer because I know from my personal experience as well. I mean, you know, here in America, you have so many different opportunities to go do so many different things that
Mhm.
I don't know if many other countries have. And the freedom, like you said, we have so much freedom in this country, and I
Mhm.
think, like you said, a lot of people take it for granted.
Yeah, and just the opportunities and even transportation. The other countries that I have been to, it depends. In the cities there's opportunities, but maybe out in more of the rural areas, those folks don't really leave too far beyond where they have grown up, and um, always traveling was always important. Now we may not have gone outside the United States, but get in the car and go to Florida or go to the mountains, go over to different larger city and Nashville, whatever. There's Birmingham. Um, that was just common to be able to travel and go wherever you wanted to.
So, second question, as an American, what do you consider to be the most defining moment in America's existence?
Um, it would have to be, I would think, the Civil War, and because when you look back, before then, states did consider themselves separate, almost like separate countries, and so there was that idea that obviously that's what a big part of what Civil War was about, that they could leave the Union, and so I remember in history, that it was before the Civil War, people identified more with their state, and then after, um, they identified more with the country, as United States, and yeah, I think that's really important because we had to go through that to be able to define what is our relationship with with the Union. Um, and people were placed in history and at certain times, and Abraham Lincoln, he as much challenges as he had, he was the right person to value holding the Union together and doing whatever it took. And when we look throughout history, we wouldn't have been prepared to really make a difference in World War I, or World War II if we had not been a united country the way that we are.
I totally agree with that. And I mean, when you think of everything America's gone through, all the struggles and everything that America's faced, at the end of it, it always feels like there's a unification that Americans have, which is unique because I don't know of many other countries that have that unifying aspect after something happens within this country. So it's amazing.
Oh yeah, certainly.
All right. So, um, next question was about what does the words American dream mean to you, which I think that kind of ties into the upbringing question from the beginning. But yeah, the American dream is something we always talk about.
I think that American dream, it depends on the person. And ultimately, I don't know if the right word is ultimate dream, but um, that idea that there's opportunities and that uh, you can do whatever you want to do. And I guess we kind of come back to that. That's kind of what I began with. But um, you think about American dream. Obviously, a lot of people say, your home and family and what the white picket fence and all that kind of stuff. Um, but I think it really depends. I think though ultimately what everybody looks for is or to me, having that peace and being able to um, have a place where you can live um, and enjoy the freedoms and peace and appreciate the laws that exist to protect you and protect other people and respect everybody and their worth as a human being around them. And I think that's what United States, I think we do that. Um, I think we strive to do that.
Yeah. Next question, and you of course work with 4-H, and it's a it's it was created in the 1900s. So I wanted to ask you because you're now the county extension director. What led you to pursue that role?
4-H or extension director or which role?
Oh, well, yeah, like with the extension director role.
Okay. Um, well, so I mean, I tell people when I moved to extension, I didn't expect that it would be um, permanent in my career. I worked with in higher ed and student affairs for most of my career, and I enjoyed that student development. Um, that's important piece for me, something that's important to, I found meaning in doing that. I enjoy working with young people, especially when they're college age, a lot of changes, a lot of decisions, and a lot of development that happens at that time. And so I knew about extension, I had a family member who had done that. And so I knew 4-H is still student development. It's just a different life stage. And so, um, and we all have different age groups that we're probably better at working with, but I really enjoyed working in 4-H. Really had a blast because you can do so many different kinds of things with it. And I just never found a reason to leave, I guess. And then, of course, had an opportunity between 4-H and where I'm at now, working with human sciences and talking about personal finance. And because a big part of extension is consumer education as well. And so I love talking about personal finances because especially young people, um, and I really prioritize reaching college age. You can make really good decisions uh, now that can impact your life long term, or you can make really poor decisions that do the same thing. And so I was enjoying that, but this opportunity opened up because there are so many ways um, to connect and serve more people in different ways. And I opened up to be the county extension director. This is my home county, and so I knew I could do that, and felt like I could use some of my strengths to support the team here in Lauderdale County. And so that's basically what led me. Really, it was I took a little sidebar from student affairs, and I have really enjoyed working in extension and getting to do some of the same things, but maybe with different audiences. And that's why I've stuck around, I guess.
Well, that's great. And so, as the county extension director, so far, what has been your biggest struggle that you've seen?
Well, I'm pretty new onto the job, but as far as those bigger struggles that are happening, it depends on if you look at human sciences, it's increasing cost of things. Okay, costs are going up, and we talk about the American dream. A lot of people, I think, it is important to be able to own your own home, and because that gives you a lot of stability, and that's becoming more and more difficult. And then on the other side of things, though, we have agriculture, and the big things that are going on there is that they're not making any more land, but yet we do still see, even though it's difficult to own a home, we see more and more places that are being developed. And when we talk about places, it's agriculture land. The prices of land are increasing, so you're not seeing people being able to just get into the industry because so many things are cost prohibitive right now. And so it's both a challenge, but and it's some things that how do we figure out how to approach those? It's small. I'm a small person, and in a great big chain of everybody. And how do we figure out those solutions? Because, like I said, they're not making any more land for agriculture, and you've got to have land for agriculture. But then economically, it is not. The payoff is not enough to keep people to want people to go into agriculture um, for any kind of financial benefit. It's just so risky or cost prohibitive. So those are some big things that are going on, and that hopefully be able to work and try to find some solutions to it. But they're not easy solutions.
I would agree with that. And when you think of agriculture, also how important agriculture's always been in this country to building where we are today. And it's crazy to think about how the financial struggles that people who try to get, have some kind of farm or whatever, it's really hard for them today. And so
Oh,
I do
absolutely.
see that.
Hmm. Right. And if you look at our founders, what Thomas Jefferson, he dreamed of being an big country all about agriculture. And we've seen this kind of thing play out because even in the early 1900s, late late 1800s, that idea between industrialization and agriculture, and some of that was um, happened in our history before, and we started making that change to being less agrarian and more urban and industrial as far as the majority of the population. But definitely a lot of important knowledge has been lost because just generation ago, people most of the people did grow up on or around a farm, and now it's not the case.
Yep. So this is my next to last question. So,
Okay.
if you had to go back in the past, what would you do differently?
Anytime, or
Yeah, just any time.
that's a loaded question, Cooper. Um, well, what would I do differently? That's a tough one. I can't say I would do much differently because it got me to here. I would say maybe in college, taking advantage of things like study abroad. I don't really like to fly though, but still, there's opportunities where that could have um, been, paid for or had some financial assistance with that. Anytime you get a chance to travel abroad or just travel at all, um, you're gonna to learn something about yourself and about other people. Um, Finally, in more in grad school, we do some mission trips, but I think that's one, and then taking advantage of more opportunities. I think in school, it's all about let's study and want to have good grades. And then sometimes I didn't take certain things or explore certain things because, you have that fear. I'm not going to be able to be successful in it. Um, but take the risk and try it out and see what happens. But I've gotten to do a lot of interesting and neat things. So it's hard to say uh, I would change a whole lot, but I do think that traveling piece in school would be something that could would have been a would have been a
Okay.
good idea.
And so my final question is, what would be your message to Americans on this 250th anniversary?
Uh, my message to Americans. Um, I think that the main message is to look around and appreciate what we have. I think there's a lot of um, there's a lot of media on that sways and tries to get people to focus on the wrong things. When I look around, I see people that, for the most part, they that we're neighbors. We treat each other well. We're um, agreeable, and I do have my mentality is most people want to be good people. And as soon as we see media, and when you have what 300 million people, whatever our population is, you're going to find a bad story, and a lot of times media likes to highlight those bad stories. But look for the good stories, because um, we've got a lot of great things going for us. And then the other thing is, um, yeah, I like to say this because one of the programs we talk about is property taxes. People hate paying taxes, but you get what you pay for. And so, I get, our country has a long standing history. We were created because people, didn't want to pay the T tax, right? That's one of the things that started. But I can go from here to California, and I have before driven, and I can call 911 and have emergency assistance. We have great roads. Some of them could be better, right? But we have roads. When I pull over and I stop somewhere, there's not somebody in a machine gun with a machine gun that the store had to hire because because in other countries that's the case. In certain countries, that's the way things are. And so, trying to be a good citizen, I think. So ultimately, that's what I say. Look, think about citizenship, and um, I know Kennedy. He asked, "Don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And we've forgotten about that. Sometimes we gotta sacrifice for our country, and and be proud and of our country. But it's not all about what can I get, what can I give, because so long as we're all just trying to take and not let somebody else outdo us, then eventually it's going to ruin our democracy. So we really got to think about being good citizens and what we can do to make our country better.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Thank you so much for coming on. And
Absolutely.
this has been a really great interview.
Well, thank you. I hope it was, what you were looking for, and um, I can talk all day, but maybe I didn't put anybody to sleep.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, thank you, Cooper. Appreciate you.